Matt Lenihan for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined by Kalle Sauerland. Kalle, it's been a little while for me, but what a present.
It's been a little while for me as well. I've been keeping a low profile the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Well, look,
3 shows in 7 days now in where are we? Newcastle, live on DAZN Saturday night. Then we go Edinburgh next Friday, Lee McGregor world title. And then we're in Nashville the night after. So, yeah.
Fun never stops. But
Fun never stops.
Just talk to me quickly. Let's have a quick run through of this card. Josh Kelly off the back of a terrific performance against Troy Williamson. He comes here, chance to win another title on this sort of journey back to boxing for him to get back onto that world level stage. How pleased are you with him and this card as a whole? Some good fights.
I think. Thanks for the nice long question to tee me up here. But I think that part's done. I think, you know, when we had the big fight against Troy, fantastic night in Newcastle in December, packed crowd, great atmosphere, and it was a breathtaking performance. Credit to Troy as well. It takes 2 to tango, but it was a fantastic performance by Josh to sort of close that chapter, that comeback chapter off in front of almost 2 million people live on free-to-air. So, and that put him at number 2 in the world. And I said before the fight, I said, look, this is also the springboard for the winner into world boxing, because it was a British title, of course, but took him to the number 2 in the world rankings, and now he's facing the number 8, number 9 in the world Saturday night, undefeated, 18-0. So a very live fight, but once you've done that step up and across, you can't go back anymore. And you know, it's all about Saturday night getting into that position. You know, we talk always about these eliminators. Promoters love an eliminator. I'm not going to call it an eliminator, but we all know that if he wins on Saturday night, he will be mandated at some stage this year for a world title. So that's how big this fight is. That's how important this fight is for both of them, because the other one's number 8 in the world. So he'll springboard as well. So he'll be looking at that opportunity. Undefeated, the opponent. So it's going to be a tough night. But it's very different to the Troy fight, because the Troy fight was all about showing the naysayers wrong, stuffing those fucking words down their mouths. And we done that in December, or Josh did that in December, and now on we roll. Looking forward to this part, the next journey,
He's been sort of touted from the early on in his career about being that world level star, and he's sort of on the cusp now. A performance over Corzo puts him in a very good position, number 2 in the world. Jamel Charlo's obviously bouncing up to fight Canelo. Is he ready, or will we find out Saturday, for that moment of becoming a world champion? Do you think this is the right time for Josh? Because, like you mentioned there, not a lot of people are going to be queuing up to fight him. He's an absolute nightmare to fight.
Yeah. I mean, it's generally accepted that that GB squad 216, he was naturally by far the most talented. Now, natural talent, unfortunately, also can sometimes create complacency, and I think he's eyeing that out. He's so on it, and I think Adam doesn't allow him not to be on it, so they make a great team. But it's like I said, Saturday is it's risk when you box someone else who was in the top 10 of the world, but at the same, it's a necessary risk that has to be taken to get into that position to fight for a world title, or to go on a totally different path, which I'm sure you're going to ask me next. So that those domestic blockbusters, they're out there as well, in my opinion.
Well, you've brought it up, so we may as well go down that path. You've walked me down it yourself.
Teeing you up,
yeah, you've done it perfectly. What name, if we can't get, you mentioned like the world titles, what domestically would you like to see him do if the fight was available?
Any of those names I mentioned up there today, whether it's, Kell Brooks is one that springs out straight away, of course, massive name, and, be a super interesting fight. And it would be a big pay-per-view in the UK, without a doubt. But there's loads of names, and it's like, why don't they all just fight each other? That's why I love tournaments, as we all know, and I've done tournaments for the last couple of decades of my life. So, yeah, I like a tournament, and I just think that, hey, they're all talking about fighting each other. Let's throw them all in a pot. You've got Eubank, you've got Brook, you've got Smith, you've got Ben potentially returning, and there you go. Josh, of course, probably at least one of the highest ranked of the lot, and the youngest, so it brings in that flair as well. So it makes such an interesting thing. And I haven't forgotten you, Billy Joe, absolutely as well. Of course, I saw that there might be a step up for Billy to light heavyweight, but I'm sure he could be tempted.
You lot have been obviously the standard bearers for tournaments and making sure we eliminate the whole backdooring and avoiding fights. The best fight, the best. We've seen it with the Super Series, and you've done it for so many years. Are you sort of hinting that this is in the pipeline? Is this happening? Come on, are we going to see this tournament? Because if it does, there's nowhere to run for anyone.
We've had some conversations, and it's something that how you do it is I remember going back, rolling back the years now when I did the Super Six. It was a league format. I don't think that would work because there's a lot of them who are obviously in the twilight of their careers. So we've got a few ideas, but we'll see.
Some exciting news to come by the sound of it. Let me just shift gears a little bit now. We saw the other day KSI-Tommy Fury, weight agreed. Is there an announcement pending?
We're going back and forward on the red lines. We're almost there. The weight was agreed, and it is agreed, and everyone's comfortable around that now. And hopefully a very imminent announcement, but we still have to get the contract signed.
If Tommy Fury is to beat KSI, would that diminish the value of a Jake Paul versus KSI, or would it not matter because he'd have then been beaten them both, kind of thing?
It does in a way, but in another way, isn't Tommy part of that world a bit as well?
Well, he is, yeah, he's decided to do it. Exactly. He said he wanted to end YouTube boxing.
Yeah, so, I mean, I get it, but if it was going down the pro ranks, he would be going on very different fights. He'd also be being paid a lot less. Yeah, it's a different world. So I don't know the comparison, but I get the storyline. I like this. I'll buy that. It's a good storyline, but he's got a problem because there's 3 letters standing in between him and that storyline. So let's see if we get over the line. Let's see what actually happens.
Chris Eubank Jr. What's the state of play with him now? Are we still awaiting this verdict from UKAD in relation to Conor Benn? Is that going to decide his next one?
The still waiting part is not come out of my mouth.
No, from obviously Conor and Eddie's alluded to it's happening.
But at the same time, we sign up for a rematch. That rematch, for obvious, very public reasons, didn't happen. It was postponed 3 times. So that's done. We're looking at still trying to put that rematch on, but that's something that we are in the process of getting over the line on. Right now, how can I have a discussion on Conor Benn when I don't know anything about a verdict? I don't, why I can't hedge Junior's career on a verdict. So, is it an interesting opportunity? Should that verdict be the right one for Conor Benn? Yeah, of course it is. It's a massive fight. It was like it was before, and even bigger. But at the same time, right now it's not on the table. It's the same thing, when people asked me questions months ago about Abu Dhabi, I said, no, there's no offers on the table. And everyone was like, oh, no, he's playing some back game or something. But in the end, did it happen in Abu Dhabi? No. So, I think there was a lot of talk around it, but at the same time, right now, I can only go with what's on the table. And, by the way, Junior was supposed to fight a couple of weeks ago. No, in fact, coming up to a month ago against Liam Smith in the rematch. But that was pushed back. Then there was another date, and then there was another date, and then that didn't happen. And, so is the level of trust the highest right now, would you imagine? I mean, I put it about as high as the River Thames on a very hot day. But, does it get made? I'm hopeful, yeah. But at the same time, there's assurances we need. I know last time, even Liam came out and said, oh, medicals, this, that, and the other. Of course I need to see medicals. I'm handling the career of our fighter, and he's training in and out and relies on the job to be done properly. But right now we've had the date moved 3 times, so it is what it is. But at the same time, we're hopeful we get it done, but it's not quite there yet.
The only reason I brought the Conor Benn thing up is because of Eddie alluding to that we should get a resolution to this UKAD thing. Obviously, Conor's says they've got some more experts looking into it. So I would have thought, because that fight is huge to make, maybe Eddie would have communicated and said, look, we should have an answer to Conor Benn's situation within a week. Yeah. Let's sort of, just in case, get something ready kind of thing.
I fully agree, but at the same time, we were tied into a rematch. That rematch clearly didn't happen. Now we're trying to get that rematch on. And if in the future, if it changes, then of course the Conor Benn fight is an interesting one in the future. But right now, we can't wait for verdicts around governing bodies. That we've been this whole chapter. The thing I'm looking most forward to is this chapter simply coming to an end. Whatever the decision, it just got to come to an end. It's I failed to make a single interview since October the 6th. Doesn't matter what I'm promoting, where in the world I'm promoting it, where I'm not asked about Eubank Benn. So it does tell me how big the fight is. But right now, as of the time of doing this interview at 12 minutes to 2, there is no Conor Benn discussion on the table.
Fair enough. Final one from me, because I know the pressure time. Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou. Give me your opinion on that. And I want to also ask you a 2-part question. Filip Hrgović was obviously still in the mix. We saw him last time out against, obviously, Zhilei Zhang. Was there ever a discussion about doing Fury versus Hrgović in the midst of all this Ngannou thing happening?
No, there was never a discussion around a Filip fight against Tyson Fury. Philip's next fight will be announced in the next days. It will be in August. It's a great fight. And look, he's fully expecting to fight the winner of Usyk Dubois. Simple as that. That's what the rules state. That's the Filip Hrgović side of things. Now, the Tyson and Ngannou stuff, look, of course, I get people who say, he should be fighting Usyk, he should be fighting Joshua. But at the end of the day, you've got to make the fights. So, for some reason, I don't know the ins and outs of was it the Fury promotion side or was it the Usyk promotion side? It didn't happen, right? He's gone off on a tangent. This isn't the first time in boxing history, by the way, that fights like this have been done. I mean, you go back to the Ali era.
For years.
Yeah. So, but it has got. I can see we can obviously see the commercial potential, but I think it puts quite a lot of eyeballs onto boxing because it's not an MMA fight. It's a UFC icon taking on a boxing icon. Now, we've seen that before with Floyd and Conor. It's a bit different at heavyweight because it only takes a second. And this other fella, I don't know much about Ngannou because I don't really watch UFC, but he seems. I've had a few clips of him on the train up here today. He can certainly bang a bit, and we've seen that. Tyson is such an old school fighter. He goes down, dusts himself up, and comes back in fights. We've seen obviously the Deontay Wilder, the Rocky storylines. So, does it intrigue me? I've got to say it does. I've got to say it does. I can't lie. I will watch that fight. I'll be cheering Tyson on because it's represented the sport of boxing. I think it's great that he's come out and said, listen, I'm going to fight you in a cage because I'm not a fucking cage fighter. I'm a boxer. I'm a stand-up fighter. I'm old school. And it's not when I heard, there's going to be some groundbreaking thing, whatever, I've been there before. I've had to sell things before as well. It's not really that groundbreaking, but it's interesting. Hey, and, I like the fact he's come out and said, no, if we do this, we'll do it in a ring, right? And, I've got to say, of course, again, I know people can say, it's all about the money. I'm not making any money of it. In fact, it's going to cost me 25 quid to watch it. So I'm the one who's going to pay that money as well. So no. Yeah.
Well, look, Kalle, I appreciate your time. Thanks for talking at Boxing Social. We'll catch up after this fight at the weekend.
Thanks very much.